I am so charged up. I'm so charged up by this interview with Frank Prisinzano. Now you're saying, who is this guy Frank? Well, Frank, he's an audiophile. That's why I'm interviewing him. But he's also an intensely passionate music lover. And he's also an amazing chef. Now, it turns out I've been eating at one of his restaurants, it's called Frank, for over 20 years, but I never met the man before. And well, this interview would have never happened if it wasn't for my friend Michael, who set up his turntable, was tweaking his turntable, said, you should talk to Steve, who's telling Frank. And also my friend Steve Cohn from In Living Stereo, he's been telling me to interview Frank for years. So anyway, now it's finally happened, and I'm so glad I did this thing. Because being around Frank, you just get all amazed about food and music and sound. I had the best time. So anyway, and just to fill it out the story a little bit, he's also had an internet radio station from 2003 to 2013 called East Village Radio. It was a storefront. People walking in the East Village could just see the DJs doing their thing. Sometimes the door would be open, the music would pour out into the street, there was a crowd around. It was a thing, it was a happening, as we used to say. So anyway, I spent 2.5 hours with Frank, and I was high from the experience. I truly was. So anyway, this is me talking to Frank. So there is a connection, right, between cooking and making great sound at home?
I think so. I mean, I think it's very important that music be a part of the home, obviously, but especially the part of flowing in the kitchen, because it really does kind of set that rhythm that, you're looking for. I mean, I'm always looking, if I'm making a dish that's very, quick to make, I'm looking for something a little more up. If I'm making like a broth, which is going to take me 12, to 15 hours, I'm playing something that's very soft and something that I can kind of relax with it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, absolutely. Music's a big part of cooking for me.
Wow. And we were talking just before we started that now you're actually learning how to play guitar, and your son plays drums.
Yeah, my son plays drums, which so many of my friends, because I had East Village Radio, and I have a lot of friends who are musicians, so I went ahead and I bought a Fender Strat, I bought a Gibson Les Paul, I bought a Fender bass, and I said, you know what, let's come over and jam with my son, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't play any instruments, but I can sing. So I just grabbed the mic and we just started doing improv, basically like, improv, kind of hard rock stuff, basically, because one of my friends was playing that, Gibson Les Paul, and the thing sounds like an airliner. I mean, it's so he's cranking out, like all these riffs. My son starts playing drums, and I just start, scatting into the microphone, saying whatever I want, and we came up with some really cool stuff. Actually, wow. It was really interesting, and it was great to do that with my son. I mean, it was huge for me.
Yeah. So you have this really cool system. So you have two. Why do you have two systems like this?
Well,
one with your music.
I originally wanted this Shindo system because it's so beautiful and it's so great for vinyl. I wanted it in my bedroom, which is where I had it. But then my wife wanted to put a desk in there.
Okay.
And we weren't really listening to that much music in there. So I brought it up here so I can listen to vinyl up here, because I like sitting in, these Ames chairs and, listening to music as well. And this brings me back too, because the guy that really introduced me to like fine audio was one of my friend's fathers, who lived around the corner from my house out in Long Island, and he had these Ames chairs right in front of his stereo system. So I was always listening to music with him and, with his son. And so it just feels, particularly at home in these chairs with the system up here. So
gotta be comfortable.
Yeah, you gotta be comfortable when you listen to music. Absolutely.
So you play almost all vinyl, right? It seems.
I have about 2,000 albums here, and I have about another 1,000 at my parents' house that I still haven't brought out. And I lost about 1,000 albums at my parents' house because they put them in the garage. And mold took over, and they were destroyed. I mean, I couldn't even tell what album was what. I still haven't replaced all those, but yeah, I probably had about 4,000 albums at one time. I mean, my first, job was to make money to buy vinyl. I mean, that's what I was doing. I worked as a dishwasher. I worked as a paper boy first. I had 2 paper routes on Long Island. I had the Daily News and I had Newsday. So I had the Daily News in the morning, Newsday when I would get home from school 7 days a week to pay for my vinyl habit. So, and I mean, I was always in record stores. Every nickel I had went to vinyl, everything. I mean, it was, so it's been a long love affair for me.
Wow. Yeah, I relate.
I watched I hadn't even thought of this in a long time, but I used to listen to a lot of Rush too when I was a kid, because I really liked the intelligence behind the music. I mean, I thought, Hemispheres was such a crazy album. There was so much going on, And I watched the documentary the other day, and dude, I started weeping. I was just like, wow, because I hadn't listened to the music in so long, and I was like, wow, I got to put these albums on again. And I popped Hemispheres on the other night, and I was listening to it, and totally. Just like food, music has that power to transport, to really just take you and put you right back where you were when you were 12 or 13 fucking years old.
It's amazing.
It's pretty crazy.
I do that to myself, like I'll close my eyes so I don't see my space, right? And it's just me and the music, and it's like, it's 1966
exactly.
Right now.
And that's the
What's
beauty of
changed?
it.
Nothing.
I mean, food also, because I grew up with my grandmothers who were both Italian from Italy and made these amazing, made these amazing meals without recipes, by eye, right in front of my, I would ask for things and they would just throw flour on the table and make me pasta, whatever, it was like a magic act for me, you know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, that's why I ended up getting into food, but it really is this almost exactly the same for me. When I eat these things that they used to make me, I'm sitting with them. It's it's crazy. I'm sitting right next to them.
So this Garage turntable, it's a Garage, right?
No. This is all Shindo. Everything's Shindo except for the speakers.
That's some turntable, man.
Yeah, it's. I've had some problems with it because my maid keeps cleaning it with this duster and keeps ripping the stylus out. It's like she did it already twice.
Those maids, they're working for the.
I mean, I told her, please stay away from me. It's like but I mean, she's a great maid, and I can't complain. But I'm just saying. That's the only thing. I think I made a cover for it once. I just wish it had a cover is what I mean.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the sound is magical from the system. I mean, it's very, very clean. It's pure. There's very little noise. I mean, that's what I was after.
And Shindo. So the Shindo you got from In Living Stereo.
Yes, I got this from In Living Stereo, yeah. I was thinking of reorganizing this whole area now that the kids are a little bit older. You see, that was the other thing too, is I couldn't even have this system out when my kids were toddlers.
Right.
I mean, they ripped off two of the tubes on me. That was these are hard to find. They're not even easy to get. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I mean, I've had, I mean, having high-end audio around toddlers is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, especially tubes.
Yeah.
And not to mention poking out.
Exactly. Also, you're also worried that they're going to stick their finger in something electrical, or that they're going to burn themselves. Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad I'm past the toddler years now. I mean, I had two boys, and I was a single dad. So, and I'm a restaurant owner, so I'm like,
You're a busy guy.
It was hairy. Yeah, it was hairy. I mean, I was just carrying them with me everywhere I went. I mean, they've been eating in the restaurants, since they're babies, like running around the restaurants, and interesting, way to grow up here. I mean, I grew up in Long Island, pretty much devoid of culture. You know what I mean? Thankfully, my father had a beautiful hi-fi set that he built himself, because he's a computer engineer. My father, he's a hardware engineer, so he built his own hi-fi system with tubes, and it sounded amazing. And he had all these jazz albums. I mean, Coltrane, Miles Davis, Monk, all this kind of stuff. So like, I just started playing them, when I was young, and really that was my introduction to, to culture. There was nothing else going on out there. There were no museums. There was, nowhere to go. My kids are here in Manhattan. They're surrounded by culture. It's a bit. I mean, I wish I had grown up here.
Yeah.
They probably will move out of New York because they're tired of it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't wait to get in. I was always looking at the city as this place where I had to be.
Me
it's
too.
like I was like, I couldn't wait to get back in. As soon as I was old enough to drive, I was constantly coming in and just going to see shows. I was here in the East Village all the time. That's why I opened up in the East Village, because that's where I started. I mean, I used to go to the Ritz.
Yeah.
I used to see a lot of shows there. I used to go to Palladium, see a lot of shows over here on 14th Street.
But you were here for CBGB's, right?
Totally.
Was that big for you?
Yes. Well, I mean, I went to a lot of shows there. Yeah. I mean, throughout my life. I mean, I was when I had East Village Radio, I was talking to them about taking over the space because he wanted out, and Echo Dannon, who was one of my program managers at East Village Radio, knew him very well, and was like, I can get you in, to talk to him. And then something started deteriorating with it, and then all of a sudden he was gone. And I was like, oh, I would have liked to have saved that somehow.
Yeah.
And then Vivartos came in and kind of saved it,
Took it to Las Vegas?
At least, yeah. He put a clothing store. At least he didn't gut the place. I mean,
that's kind of cool.
There's some history there, and he is selling, vinyl and selling, some hi-fi equipment there and some stuff like that. I thought that was cool of him, because there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
And I'm very much like that. I want to save the history of my neighborhood. It's important to our success that the East Village. And that's also one of the reasons why we started East Village Radio, was also because I saw it as, the music scene was leaving the East Village and going out to Brooklyn. And that's basically what happened. We lost a lot. And, so we put the radio station in. And also because I felt FM radio had disappeared as soon as, Clear Channel took over. There was no more real FM radio, So, we recreated an FM radio station, and that was right around the time that I, bought all the audio equipment.
Yeah, Steve Cohn. Steve Cohn was your.
Steve was my
guide.
point person. I wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for him, because he would come by, and I would start talking about audio with him, and I didn't know anything about audio, and he kept talking to me about it, and I started saying, what, I think I'm ready, to start buying some stuff, and we worked together to buy it.
You have another system over there. I'm going to take pictures so people will see it. Sure. So what's in that system?
Well, this is the, I wanted also a system that I could play loud.
Yeah.
So this is obviously, these are tubes. But, so the system over here is...
the Avalon.
Yeah, with, the Avalon speakers is an amazing system. And I have two different preamps going over there. I have the Conrad Johnson over there. And then I have the other phono preamp, which, oh my God, I forgot the name of it. The one that's on the right hand side there. Yeah. Steve got me that like a year or two ago because he wanted a second preamp with that turntable. Oh. See, I really default to Steve on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can afford, and that's the other thing. I mean, I like to spread around the wealth. You know what I'm saying? If I can afford to have these things, I have friends who are in that business. Support them. You know what I'm saying? Why not? I mean, it's just all works into, the same harmony of my life, I only deal with people I like, I don't have to deal with anyone else, you know what I'm saying? So, and I only spend time with people that I want to talk to, you know what I'm saying? So we got to talk about audio stuff. I mean, I prefer to talk to Steve, you know what I'm saying? So that's why he gets my business. And at the same time, we work together on East Village Radio together, so there's all this history. I mean, I'm a very loyal person. I mean, I really love sticking with the same people. Hey, where you going, little girl?
I'm sorry, I haven't seen your YouTube channel, but do you have music in, or it's just you talking?
I hired a jazz ensemble band over at Supper to play on Sundays, and this is how my life works, you know what I'm saying? And we hired them. And then I was beginning the YouTube channel, and I was like, let's ask them to make some music for us, right? And they did. They made a little, like, kind of a Barney Miller, like, kind of music, kind of a cross between Barney Miller and, Seinfeld's music.
So it's like intros and stuff?
Exactly. Like, it's like this little music clips. We got like an intro, we got an outro, we got some clips in between. And, we're playing with it. I mean, it's it's a work in progress. I only have 3 videos up right now, but I also I paid for a show that travel show that I did that I called Real Frank, where I go to Italy 3 times a year for 3 months. I mean, obviously last year I wasn't able to go, and I haven't been able to go this year yet, but and I really have great experiences there. I mean, I've been going to Italy since I'm a kid, since I'm 12, and I know so many people there, and I know so many famous winemakers and restaurateurs, and and I travel and I go from region to region, and I post everything on Instagram, and stuff like this. So I decided, why not bring a film crew with me? And I did this I did like 4 seasons of, travel show basically. So that's also up there, but those are older. They're like from like 2007, 2008. So this is the new stuff that I'm doing, which is basically the same thing that I'm doing on Instagram. I'm trying to teach people how to cook. So I begin with very simple things like how to make a crispy egg, which is one of my signature items, which is how to fry an egg sunny side up in a stainless steel pan, not using a nonstick pan. And I'm basically showing you how to sear. Okay. Once I teach you that, you can sear anything. And then the second lesson is the candied yam, which is we take a sweet potato or a yam by itself on an earthenware plate in an oven, and you play with the temperature in the oven between 312 degrees, which is where sugar starts to caramelize, all the way up to 500, and you see the different results you can get from the yam. Yams are loaded with sugar. So after about an hour and a half at around 375, 400, they start shooting out caramel. And the yam itself starts to concentrate the sugars, and it gets sticky and sweet, okay? It's an amazing way to have a yam. Those two are the biggest 2 lessons that you can have in the kitchen, and that's what I start everybody with. And again, it's very much like music. It's you're listening to the yam, you're listening to the egg when it hits the pan. You know what I'm saying? The sounds. You're using all 5 senses plus your 6th sense, which is your gut. Right. Like something's wrong here. I can tell something's wrong. And your inner clock also, which a lot of people never exercise their inner clock, especially in the kitchen. That's the other thing. I don't give out times ever for anything. There is no time in cooking.
So wait, so on YouTube, so your videos are on Instagram TV, IGTV?
They're on IGTV. Instagram highlights is where all my method tutorials are. So right under my bio, you have those little circles. Right. Those are all highlights. Right now, there's 92 methods up on my Instagram page in my highlights, and there's like another 25 IGTV posts, which are longer posts and are 15 minutes or so. When they complain about us playing music over here, which happens all the time, I send them ragu. I send them containers of my rigatoni ragu sauce from the restaurants. I don't even answer the email like they complain, because sometimes we play till 4 or 5 in the morning here with the windows open. You can hear us down the street. Wow. I mean, we have a lot of fun. I mean, we do it maybe once every 3 or 4 months. We haven't done it since the pandemic, obviously. But well, we can talk more about audio. Ask me some more questions. I mean, I'll do what I can.
But you never got into digital?
I never really. I mean, I have that one DVD player over there, which is a really great DVD player. I mean, CD player over there, which is a really good CD, which I also forget the name of. But I never really. I like the tactile sensation of putting an album on and hearing analog. I mean, that's what I've always listened to. I like listening to a little of the static of, the needle. It's got kind of a warm feeling for me. I mean, obviously I have my iPhone. I listen to music on that too. I put my headphones on when I'm on a plane, I'm, listening to digital. I mean, I think it's gotten a lot better, in a lot of cases, but in the beginning it kind of sucked. You remember?
Oh,
I mean, it was like really bad. It was canned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was ones and zeros, obviously. It was, so, like I really, I started, the radio station. We only played vinyl, so we didn't even have this, the CD players at first, and then we started getting some really big DJs in, like Mark Ronson, who really wanted that, and then he switched over to his laptop. And then, so we had to settle that stuff up. But we really wanted everyone, to play on those Technics 1200s that we had. That's what we wanted.
And that was when to when? It's not.
We started in 2003, and I closed it down when, the licensing began. The more listeners we had, the more money it was costing me. Okay. So we were up like well over, 2-3 million listeners a month. So. It was just, I couldn't afford it. It was like we didn't have enough money coming in. Uh-huh. I mean, we never sold out about anything. I was paying for the thing all along.
When did you stop?
I'm trying to think. It was probably 2000. It was like right at our 10-year anniversary. So it was probably 2013.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And we stopped broadcasting music. Now we're going to do podcast only. now things are starting to loosen up a bit, and we're talking about getting back into it again because I want to do a podcast. And I mean, so many people would love to do a podcast in that studio right in the street. I mean, the studio's in front of Little Frankie's. So, you know what I mean? I mean, that was always a big part of the charm of East Village Radio was you could walk up and listen to your favorite DJ and go in and say hello. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had big acts in there. We had Drake in there. I mean, you name it. We had Johnny Rotten one day. He spent all day with us.
Wow.
Ate pizza with us, hung out in the office with us. He was supposed to come for 15 minutes. He stayed for the whole 2-hour show and then hung out in the office with us afterwards. Okay? This would happen all the time. We had Ian from Echo and the Bunnymen came in, missed his plane the next day because I took him to supper after the show, and we were in the Milano room drinking and getting drunk and hanging out, and he was playing guitar and shit. It was fucking surreal. It was completely surreal, and we got a call from his agent at like 6 a.m. because we were still there. Because you kind of lose track of time in supper because it's kind of really you really feel like you're in a cave. You know what I'm saying? And he missed his plane and missed his show in Australia.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, tons of stories like that. I mean, it was like, you want to talk about music. I mean, we were at really at the apex of it. I mean, like everyone wanted to be on East Village Radio, and we were happy to have them. And it was just such a beautiful thing on the street in New York. Yeah. People were just hanging out in front of the booth all the time, musicians and DJs coming to talk, and it was just having the restaurant there also.
Yeah.
I would say, hey guys, come on in, let's go get some pizza. I would just say, everyone out in front, come on, let's go in and get some pizza. What does it cost me? And say, it doesn't cost that much. We'd sit down and we drink beers, and I'm like hanging out with music. Titans of the industry, and they're just regular guys, and we're just all just hanging out, having a beer and having a pizza, because everyone loves beer and everyone loves pizza. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and everyone loves music. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what, Frank? That's the perfect ending. You just summed it up
right.
so perfectly. So I'll do my outro.
Okay, no problem.
Frank, this has been a total pleasure. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, coming to you from Frank's beautiful place here on Broadway, and hope to see you guys back here again soon. I hope to see you in your restaurant.
Please.
Now that I know what you look like.
You have my cell number. Let me know when you're coming.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Thanks.